When we look at Robin's definition of economics, we see at the very end ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now, when we have alternative uses, that tells us we have choices. We have a choice. We can select between alternatives. So, alternative uses in the Robin's definition gives us a problem of choice. How do we make the choice, and what's the choice between? It poses three fundamental questions. What goods and services should be produced? Secondly, how should the goods and services be produced? And thirdly, for whom should the goods and services be produced? Three fundamental questions that need to be addressed in economics. And we get these directly from the Robin's definition. Now, in this short video, I want to talk about the problem of choice and just introduce the problem of choice. To do this, we use a technique called the production possibility frontier. The production possibility frontier is a curve which shows the output possible from the most efficient uses of the factors of production. So we take the four factors of production: land, labour, capital and entrepreneurship, and we combine them most efficiently, and that gives us an output. But of course, we could reconfigure them and get a different output. Again, efficient, but a different output. So we can imagine a lot of outputs being produced efficiently, different amounts of the output being, and different combinations of the output being produced efficiently with our existing resources. The production possibility itself shows the maximum output achievable from the use of the available resources. So the production possibility is maximum efficiency. Bear that in mind. Now, I'm going to use an example here of what's known as guns and butter. We don't literally mean guns and butter. It's just a trade-off. It's a term in economics that goes back, I'm not too sure where to, but it goes back, and whenever we have choices to make, excuse me, whenever we have choices to make, we tend to go for guns and butter. It's just tradition in economics. It doesn't literally mean anything. But here we have guns and butter. So as you can see from the figures here on the screen, the more guns you produce, the less butter you can produce, because you're taking up the resources to produce the guns. The amount of the factors of production, land, labour, capital and entrepreneurship, those are being dedicated to the production of guns, and therefore not being dedicated to the production of butter. So the more guns, less butter. The more butter, less guns. There's a trade-off. And we can represent that trade-off in a diagram like this. That's a trade-off. The more guns, less butter. More butter, less guns. If we consider 2 points here, the point H and the point I, point H is achievable, but as we'll see, point I is not. We don't have the resources to get to the point I. But H is doable. That's an expression we often use in economics, doable. I'm not too sure about its grammatical correctness. If we take H, then, well, the first thing we can say about H is that it's inefficient because it's inside the frontier. We could produce, as you can see, we can produce more guns or more butter or anywhere in between. Put the cursor onto the screen there. We could produce more guns or more butter or any place along the curve or any place inside the, it's not a triangle, but inside that shape, it looks like a triangle. Anywhere in there is more efficient than the point H. H is inefficient. We can get more output if we reorganized our production. So let's say we're at the point D and we produce 4 guns and 15 units of butter. Now, if we were to move to point C, and C is less guns, but we get more butter, we might prefer that. So whatever the reason is, we move, we shift. Now, that means if we look backwards, and we say we're at 3, if we wanted 1 more gun now, we'd have to give up 3 units of butter. So if we're, just say for example, we're at 3 guns, we're producing 3 guns, we want to produce 4 guns. If we do that, then the amount of butter must fall from 18 to 15. So the cost of the extra gun is the 3 units of butter. 1 more gun, 3 less of butter. Now, before we leave it, and really that's all I want to do in this short class, but before I leave it, I want to introduce a topic that we're going to bump into a lot in economics, and particularly in microeconomics, as we go through it. And this is the idea of what's known as an opportunity cost. If we're at, say, 3 units of guns and 18 units of butter, if we're at the point C and we decide to have 1 more gun, the cost of the extra gun is 3 units of butter. We say that the opportunity cost of the extra gun is the amount we have to give up, 3. So the opportunity cost of 1 gun is 3 units of butter. And we'll meet this concept of opportunity cost a lot as we go through microeconomics. But in this short class, that's all I want to do. So let's leave it there and say thank you for watching.